What if one day you wake up and there's no cash left in the world? No coins, no bills, just numbers on a screen. Sounds convenient, right? But what if I told you that a cashless society could mean losing much more than paper money? Privacy, freedom, even control over your money might disappear too. So what would really happen if cash was gone forever? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might shock you. Governments and banks are already pushing for a fully digital world. Apple Pay, Google Wallet, crypto, it's happening. But imagine a world where every transaction you make is tracked, controlled, and even denied. What if you wanted to buy something the system doesn't approve of? Or what if hackers or governments just switch off your money? Today, we'll dive deep into the future without cash. And trust me, it's a lot more dangerous than you think. But before we explore this digital nightmare or dream, hit that like button and let's dive in. Let's be real. The cashless world isn't some faraway future. It's happening right now, all around us. You probably already pay with your phone, right? Or swipe a card and go. Think about it. When was the last time you actually used cash? Some people can't even remember. Take Sweden, for example. Over 99% of all transactions are done digitally. Even in small towns, good luck finding a store that takes cash. There are cafes in Stockholm where if you pull out a bill, they'll politely say, "Sorry, we don't accept that." Imagine that. Money not accepted as money. In China, they're on another level. Apps like WeChat Pay and Alipay have turned cash into a thing of the past. From buying groceries to paying rent, people in China don't even think about cash anymore. And here's the kicker. Their government is rolling out central bank digital currency, or CBDC, which is like crypto but completely controlled by the state. No banks, no middlemen, just pure digital money under government control. Even here in the US, this trend is moving fast. After the pandemic, thousands of businesses went card only. And now, more and more stores refuse to accept cash because it's inconvenient or unsafe. At the same time, banks are quietly shutting down ATMs and local branches, making it harder and harder to get physical money. So even if you wanted to use cash, sometimes you just can't. But here's something most people don't think about. As we move closer to a cashless world, we're not just changing how we pay. We're changing what money actually is. You see, cash is the only form of money that's completely anonymous, private, and fully in your control. Once everything is digital, every cent you spend will leave a trail, recorded, analyzed, maybe even judged. And if you think governments wouldn't take advantage of that, think again. In 2016, India made a shocking move. Overnight, the government banned large currency notes. People woke up to find their money was worthless. Millions who relied on cash couldn't buy food, medicine, nothing. Now imagine that same power in a world where there's only digital money. With a single click, banks or governments could freeze your account. No explanation, no warning. No cash means no escape route. And here's another thing. Even in Europe, some banks are now charging people just for holding large amounts of cash in their accounts. Why? To push everyone into a fully digital system where every transaction is traceable. So this shift isn't just about making life easier. It's about building a system where someone else holds the keys to your money. Plus, think about rural areas, older people, and low-income families. Not everyone has access to smartphones, stable internet, or online banking. In many parts of the world, even in America, there are still millions of people who depend on cash to survive. So what happens to them when society decides to ditch cash completely? Do we just leave them behind? And let's not forget, in times of disaster, cash is often the only thing that works. During hurricanes, blackouts, or cyber attacks, when power and internet go down, how do you buy food or gas? You can't Venmo someone when the grid is down. Cash is often the only backup we have left when the system fails. So yeah, while going cashless might sound modern and convenient, it also creates huge risks for our privacy, freedom, and even survival. And yet, whether we like it or not, this change is already speeding toward us. So now that we see how fast and far this shift is happening, Let's talk about why some people are actually excited about a world without cash, and what they say are the biggest benefits. Okay, let's be fair. It's not all doom and gloom. A cashless society does bring some real benefits, and that's why so many people are actually excited about it. So let's break it down. First, convenience. I mean, who doesn't love the speed of tapping a card or scanning a phone to pay? No more waiting for change. No more worrying if you have enough bills in your pocket. You can split dinner with friends, pay rent, or order something online, all in seconds. It's fast, easy, and honestly, kind of fun. How many times have you walked out of the house without a wallet but with your phone? That's today's reality. Second, safety. Carrying cash makes you a target for theft. If someone steals your wallet full of bills, it's gone. But if you lose a credit card, you block it in 2 clicks. Digital money can offer a layer of protection that physical cash simply can't. And let's not forget hygiene. During the pandemic, a lot of people realized just how dirty cash can be. Money passes through hundreds, maybe thousands of hands. But with contactless payments, no touching, no germs. And yes, for some people, that matters a lot. Now here's a big one, reducing crime. Since cash is untraceable, it's the favorite tool for criminals. Drugs, illegal weapons, human trafficking. These black markets depend on cash to stay hidden. But with digital transactions, authorities can track and stop illegal money flows. And that's a huge win in the fight against organized crime. Plus, let's talk about economic efficiency. Managing cash costs governments billions every year. Think about printing money, transporting it securely, guarding it in vaults. All that costs real money. By going digital, governments and banks could cut massive costs and invest that money elsewhere, in healthcare, education, or infrastructure. And for small businesses, not dealing with cash means fewer trips to the bank, less risk of theft, and less hassle with counting change or handling mistakes. And for people in developing countries, especially those without access to traditional banks, digital payments could be a game changer. Imagine living in a remote village and being able to receive payments directly to your phone without ever stepping foot in a bank. Apps like M-Pesa in Kenya are already proving that mobile money can lift people out of poverty, helping them start businesses, pay for school, or access healthcare. For billions of unbanked people around the world, cashless could mean opportunity. Also, governments could distribute aid faster. During crises like pandemics or natural disasters, digital systems allow authorities to send financial help directly to people's accounts instantly. No need for long lines to pick up cash or checks. That kind of speed can literally save lives. And let's not forget about budgeting tools. With digital money, you can easily track how much you spend, on what and where. Apps can help you budget, save, and even invest, something that's much harder to do when you're using cash and trying to remember where it all went. Imagine getting real-time updates about your spending, helping you avoid debt and manage your money smarter. So yeah, there are some seriously powerful benefits to a cashless society. Convenience, safety, efficiency, better crime prevention, and financial inclusion for people who've been left out of the system. But if it's all so great, why are some people warning us to slow down? Why are there growing fears about a world without cash? Let's dive into the dark side, what we might be giving up when we give up cash. All right, so going cashless sounds cool, modern, efficient, but here's where things get seriously dangerous. And most people don't think about it until it's too late. First, control. The moment all your money is digital, someone else, whether that's a bank, a corporation, or the government, has the ultimate power over it. Think about it. If every dollar you own is just a number in a database, what happens when that database says, you can't access your money today? Or worse, you're blocked from spending. You basically lose everything in one click. You might think, well, I'm a good citizen. I don't break the law. I have nothing to worry about. But what if suddenly something you buy becomes unacceptable? What if one day buying certain books, supporting certain causes, or even eating too much fast food becomes against the rules? Think that's crazy? In China, with their social credit system, people can be denied travel, loans, or even jobs if their behavior doesn't match government expectations. And remember, in a fully digital system, enforcing that kind of control is easy. Imagine your bank calling you and saying, "Sorry, based on your recent transactions, we're freezing your account until further notice." Or even scarier, you don't get a call. You just wake up, try to pay for groceries, and boom, declined. No explanation, no appeal. And it's not just about governments. Private companies, too, can have enormous power over your money. Think of all the platforms that have already banned or deplatformed users for having the wrong opinions. What happens when your bank or payment app decides they don't like your views? Don't think it can't happen. It already has. Some banks and platforms have cut off individuals, freezing their funds because of political reasons or public pressure. Now let's add another layer: automation and AI. Banks are already using AI to monitor spending and flag suspicious behavior. But who decides what's suspicious? An algorithm? Imagine an AI misreading your purchase and locking your funds because of a false flag. And good luck arguing with a bot or getting a real human on the phone when that happens. And here's the thing. Even today, we've seen governments freeze bank accounts of people who protest or donate to causes they support. In Canada, during the 2022 trucker protests, the government ordered banks to freeze accounts of people involved. Whether you agree with those protests or not, the idea that your money can be turned off for participating in a peaceful demonstration should terrify everyone. But it gets worse, because in a cashless world, you can't hide under the radar. There's no cash under your mattress, no backup. You are 100% inside a system where everything is monitored, and access is a privilege, not a right. And let's be honest, once this control is in place, it's never going away. If we give up cash and hand over total control, there's no reset button. The system will be set forever. So yeah, a world without cash doesn't just mean no coins in your pocket. It means handing over your freedom to use money as you choose and trusting that the people in charge will never misuse that power. And if history has taught us anything, it's that when people have power, they always find ways to abuse it. But we're just getting started. If you think privacy is at risk, wait till you hear how a cashless world could mean the end of anonymity forever. Let's talk about privacy, because if we live in a fully cashless society, guess what? Privacy is gone. Completely. Forever. Right now, when you buy something with cash, that's a private transaction. No one knows what you bought, where you bought it, or how much you spent. It's just between you and the seller. But if every dollar you spend is digital, then everything you buy is recorded somewhere. Think about that for a second. Every cup of coffee, every book, every gift, every tip you give, someone is watching. And not just watching, but storing that data, analyzing it, selling it, and maybe even using it against you one day. Let's break it down. Every time you swipe a card or tap your phone, here's what's happening behind the scenes. Your bank sees the transaction, the payment processor sees it, the store sees it, and probably stores that info in a database. Apps and platforms where you shop, they see it too. And sometimes third-party companies buy that data to build detailed profiles about you. Now think about this. What happens when all your purchases, habits, and preferences are tracked 24/7? What happens when insurance companies, employers, or even the government start looking at that data? Oh, you bought junk food 10 times this month? Your health insurance just got more expensive. You bought books about politics? Now you're flagged for monitoring. Sound far-fetched? Well, guess what? Companies like Facebook, Google, and Amazon are already tracking everything you do online. Imagine that same system, but for your money. And here's another layer: predictive AI algorithms. With all this data, AI systems can predict what you'll do next, what you'll buy, where you'll go, even who you'll vote for. And that data can be sold to advertisers, political campaigns, and yes, governments. But wait, there's more. Let's talk about hacked data. You've heard about data breaches, right? Millions of credit cards stolen, passwords leaked. Now imagine if all your spending history, your entire financial life, is leaked online. What you bought, when, how much you spent for anyone to see. And don't think this is science fiction. It happens all the time. Banks, payment apps, even governments have been hacked before. And when there's no cash, there's no way to avoid that risk because there's no alternative. And here's something most people forget. Cash doesn't leave a trail. You can donate to charity, help a friend in need, or support a cause privately. But in a cashless world, all those acts are public, open to judgment, and maybe even punishment. Now, some people might say, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't care. But let me ask you this. Do you leave your house windows open all day because you have nothing to hide? Of course not. Privacy isn't about hiding bad things. It's about protecting your freedom to live without being watched, analyzed, and controlled. And once cash is gone, so is that freedom. Forever. And if you think that's bad, wait till we talk about what happens when the system goes down. Because if everything is digital, what happens when the power goes out? Let's get into that next. Now let's imagine this. What happens when the system fails? Because here's the thing. Technology isn't perfect, and when all your money is digital, what do you do when the system crashes? Think about the last time there was a power outage. Maybe a storm hit, maybe there was a cyber attack, or even just a technical failure. Now imagine you're standing at a grocery store, trying to buy food for your family, and suddenly the system is down. No cards, no phones, no apps. Just silence. How do you pay for bread, milk, gas? You can't, because there's no cash. And this isn't some crazy scenario. It's already happened. In Texas, during the winter storm of 2021, the power grid collapsed. People couldn't buy basic supplies because electronic payment systems were offline. After Hurricane Katrina, banks were shut, ATMs were dead, and stores stopped accepting cards. Only people with cash could buy food and medicine. In Puerto Rico, post-Hurricane Maria, people stood in line for hours at one of the few working ATMs just to pull out cash because everything else was broken. And it's not just disasters. Simple system errors happen more often than we think. In 2018, Visa's entire network crashed across Europe. Millions of people couldn't pay for groceries, fuel, transportation for hours. Stores had to close. People were stranded. And all of that on a regular day. No war, no disaster, just a glitch. But here's what people don't realize. When the payment system stops, it doesn't just affect individuals. It affects entire supply chains. Truck drivers can't get fuel, suppliers can't get paid, stores can't restock. Imagine empty shelves, not because food isn't there, but because no one can pay for it. And without cash, there's no backup. And think about small businesses, local shops, family restaurants, farmers markets. They live day to day on payments. If cards stop working, they can't take your money, can't pay suppliers, can't survive. Big corporations might weather that storm, but the little guys, they go under. Now let's go deeper. What about war and international conflicts? In Ukraine, when the war started, ATMs stopped working, card systems went offline. People needed cash to survive those first chaotic days. Without it, many would have been left with nothing. If there's no cash in a future conflict, regular people will have zero access to money when they need it most. And don't think only wars cause that. Government shutdowns and debt crises can have the same effect. In the US, during government shutdowns, payments to federal workers were delayed, services frozen. What happens when people can't get their paychecks and there's no cash to survive on? How do they buy food? Pay rent? Let's also talk about cyber attacks. Hackers are getting more advanced. We've already seen ransomware attacks on hospitals, pipelines, even entire governments. What happens when they target financial systems? If hackers lock the payment network and you have no cash, you're broke until someone fixes it. And in today's global tension, that's not just a maybe, that's a growing threat. And here's something even simpler. Natural disasters don't just cut power, they take down communication networks too. No internet, no cell towers, no mobile apps. How do you pay for gas to escape? How do you buy water when your kids are thirsty? You don't. Because when everything's digital and everything's down, there's nothing left. Also, let's be real. When crisis hits, prices skyrocket. We've all seen it, from toilet paper during COVID to bottled water in hurricanes. In those moments, people want real money, not promises of payment later. Cash gives you leverage, the ability to survive when everything else falls apart. And if you think the system will always recover quickly, think about this. What if it doesn't? What if a cyber attack locks the system for weeks? What if war makes rebuilding impossible for months? If you don't have cash, what's your plan? So yeah, when life runs smooth, a cashless system looks shiny and easy. But when life hits hard, and it always does, cash is the lifeline that keeps society moving. And if we give that up, when the next big crisis comes, we'll have nothing to hold on to. But beyond crises and disasters, there's something even more dangerous. Something that affects all of us every day. What if losing cash means losing the freedom to control your own money? Let's be brutally honest now, because everything we've talked about leads to one terrifying truth. If cash disappears, so does your freedom. Think about it. Cash is the only form of money that belongs 100% to you. No one can stop you from spending it. No one can track it. No one can freeze it. You hold it in your hand and it's yours. But the moment all money becomes digital, you lose that control. Imagine a world where every single thing you buy is monitored, where your ability to spend money isn't just about how much you have, but whether someone else says yes or no. And we're not talking about some distant dystopian future. This is already happening in parts of the world. In China, with the social credit system, people are already being punished financially for their behavior. Support the wrong cause? Lose points. Say something online the government doesn't like? Lose access to loans. Now imagine that system, but global. Imagine your government, or even a private company, deciding how and when you can use your money. Think about it. What if one day you want to donate to a cause you believe in, but the system says no? What if you want to buy a book that someone in power doesn't want you to read, and your payment gets blocked? What if you need medicine, but because of some AI system tracking your health choices, you're flagged as a risk and denied access? Sounds crazy? Maybe, but it's already happening in pieces around the world. And here's the scariest part. Once we go fully digital, there's no way back. You can't withdraw digital money and hide it under your mattress. You can't keep some on the side for emergencies. Once the system is cashless, you are fully inside it, forever. And who runs that system? Banks, governments, corporations, not you. And let's be honest, do you trust those people to always do what's best for you? Do you trust them to never abuse that power? Let me ask you something. If tomorrow your government decided to freeze the accounts of everyone who protested against them, what would you do? How would you survive? If you think that can't happen, it already has. We've seen bank accounts frozen for political reasons in Canada, Russia, and other countries. Imagine living in a world where you can't even buy food unless someone in an office somewhere gives you permission. And here's where it gets real. Freedom means choice. Freedom means you decide what to do with what you earn. But a cashless society means someone else makes that decision for you. Today you can choose to support what you believe in, live how you want. But in a cashless world, every choice is controlled, every action monitored, every dollar approved or denied. So ask yourself, is convenience worth that price? Is tapping a phone faster than handing over a bill worth giving up control of your own life? Because once cash is gone, so is your right to use money freely. And without freedom over your own money, can you really call yourself free? So now you might be wondering, what would actually happen if cash disappears tomorrow? What would our world look like? And how would our lives change forever? Let's wrap this up and give you the final picture. What would really happen if cash disappears? At first, it might feel like an upgrade. Fast, easy, clean, no more coins, no more bills. Just a swipe, a tap, and done. But underneath that shiny surface, something much bigger is at stake. Because once cash is gone, we give up more than paper. We give up privacy. Because now every move we make, every dollar we spend is tracked. We give up security. Because if the system goes down, we're locked out of our own money. We give up freedom. Because if someone else controls the system, they control us. No longer will you be able to help a friend in need without permission. No longer will you be able to support a cause you believe in, unless someone in power says it's okay. No longer will you be able to protect yourself when systems fail, because without cash, there is no backup. And let's be honest, money is not just a tool to buy things. Money is freedom, the freedom to choose, to act, to live life on your terms. A world without cash, that's a world where that freedom disappears. So while going cashless might seem like progress, the real question is, progress for who? For us? Or for the people who want to control every aspect of our lives? Because once we give up cash, we can't take it back. Once it's gone, and so are our rights to live freely. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think a cashless society is a good thing or a dangerous trap? Would you give up cash completely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. And if this video opened your eyes, show some love, hit like, share it with friends, and subscribe for more wild what-if scenarios like this. Smash that bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning the world around you.